Hi guys! So I'm going to show you one of the quickest and easiest ways to compile your sequence photography, which is the side-by-side method, similar to how Edward Muybridge laid out the running horse and the man playing golf and the running man as well. So I had my dancer last night record part of her bar exercise in slow-mo video, and I used the um, VLC media player to extract frames from that. So that's going to be linked description for you to if you chose the slow-mo or time-lapse option and you're extracting frames. So with this photo, they're not the greatest quality. My dancer Lily is just in her basement, so lighting's not perfect, but we have what we have. So we're going to work with this by starting with rotating it so that it's the right side up. We're going to go through each of the frames that I've selected and rotate each of them until they're all right side up. So to rotate your images, go image, image rotation, and rotate whichever direction you need it to go. I'm going to do some light editing to each of these, and I'm going to keep my edits the exact same so that it appears as though they have the same exposure and the same consistency throughout. So I'm going to start with filter details and sharpen, and I'm going to make sure my amount is the same. So looking at this little cell phone image here, I'm going to get the best I can. I think 24 is good. I'm going to apply the same detail edit to each photo that I have. So making sure each of them is set to 24 for sharpen. It might not be making a huge difference on some of them, but I think it is enhancing the outline of the form in a few. And during this process, you may go back and decide some parts of or some image frames aren't necessary in order to capture the action. You may decide to go back to VLC Media Player and change how many frames you're extracting from your video. If you make it a higher number, it's going to have less image extractions because it's based on the frame rate per second. And then if you have a lower number, then you're going to get more images in your folder wherever you're saving them to. So I believe I was at 12 for this one, and it was just a short, like 20-second video. So the other option too is like cropping. The challenge with cropping in your Pixlr accounts is that you don't have the ruler option. If anyone else has found rulers or how to have rulers up along the side, then definitely show me. So using the crop tool here isn't going to necessarily contain the exact same ones unless you pay attention to your width and height. So I want to take out some of the floor in front of this dancer. So right now, all of the frames are set to 576. So I'm going to pull in until 500. Let's see if I can type that in. Perfect. And enter, apply. And then I'm going to do the same thing to each one. So image or crop and pull 500 and apply. So why are we doing the same edits to each one? Just so that for consistency and we're seeing across our line of frames, that they all look to be of the same movement, because the purpose of sequence photography is to document a movement or a process. So we don't want it to look like each frame was shot separately. We want it to look a little bit more natural. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to show some other edits that you might choose to make to your photos in another video. But first, I'm going to show you how each of these images can be compiled into a Google drawing. So if you're not familiar, or if you haven't tried the alphabet photo yet, and you found the alphabet photo compilation in Pixlr to be tricky, then the next part of this video should help you out for using Google Drawings, which many of you are likely already familiar with. So I'm downloading each of the image edits, which is just taking a few seconds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images in a frame. So I may choose to eliminate one and have them stacked in 2 rows atop one another, 3 and 3. And if you want, you can also do one long strip of images, whatever you like. So I'm on my second last image download here. File save, download. And last one, file save, download. Okay. So then I'm going to jump over to Google Drive and go File, New, and More, and Google Drawing. I'm going to hit Create and Share.
Sorry, I don't understand.
And my Google Home thinks I'm talking to it. So sequence photo. And then I'm going to insert each of these ones. They're down here on the bottom. So if I just start clicking and dragging, I can start adding them to this doc. Now, if it's not big enough, I can expand my canvas size by grabbing these little lines in the bottom right-hand corner until it is big enough. And next photo, next photo, next photo. And 7th photo. Okay, so this little tendu releve exercise is pretty simple, but I could possibly choose to eliminate 1 or 2 from the sequence just so that it has more symmetry. So I'm going to delete this last one, and now I'm going to start by positioning my photos to see that they all have the same height. And this one will go down here. I want to make sure before I make the second row that they start out the same height. So you get these little red lines that appear in Google Drawings to show you when 2 images or text boxes are aligned. So now they're all the same height. I'm going to have to stretch the width of my canvas a little bit using those little lines in the corner. And now I'm going to bring these below each of those. Okay, so one other thing that you may choose to do in your Google Drawing is make frames. So similar to how in Muybridge's film frames, we had the sprocket hole of the film along the outside. So instead of having them right beside one another, you may choose to stretch your canvas size and insert a shape. I'm going to make my shape the entire canvas size. and change the fill color by clicking that paint bucket to black. And then I'm going to right click on the shape order and send to back. Now I have like a nice flat background, and I can position my photos of my dancer so that they have a frame around them, and they each have a little bit of negative space. Now, you don't have to do this. It just might be something that you like. Now, I would caution you before you make your size of your shape bigger to make sure your frame or your canvas, these gray and white dots, is first big enough to accommodate. It's giving me a little bit of trouble there. I'm gonna zoom out, and I hate how that works. Zoom out. There we go. Okay, so now that my canvas size is big enough to accommodate the bigger shape, now I can stretch the shape. And the reason you have to do that is that when you save it at the end, if your shapes or images go past the edge of your canvas, then it will just crop them off the frame. Okay. So there we go. I can fiddle with this a little bit more until I'm happy with it. I can bring in a background that has those film sprocket holes if I want it to look a little more old school, like Muybridge, who we learned about in this week's sequence photography task. Or I can say, no, I'm happy with that. And when you're happy with it, you're going to save it, file, actually download as a JPEG to bring it to your Wix website and your Flipgrid. So that's how you can use Google Drawings to compile your sequence photography. Good luck, and I can't wait to see